Yeah, baby. Shifting my own Mustang, it's so amazing. I gotta pinch myself every time I see it in the garage and every time I climb behind the wheel. It's unbelievable. Now, first thing going, why, John? Why would you buy a 3-valve? It's 2021. Coyote's been out for 10 years. Well, guess what? Not everyone wants or needs or wants to spend the money to have 400-something horsepower. There's nothing wrong with a 3-valve. Now, I get it. It's not the sexiest thing anymore. It's not the new kid on the block. The retro styling's been out for, 16 years now. I get it. It's cool. You do you, man. But for me, this is a car that I wanted. I remember so vividly sitting in my bedroom, reading one of my car magazines, and they were debuting this car. It was, I believe it was a silver GT Premium with the red interior. And I will never, ever forget that. And that was what absolutely hooked me on these cars. It's unbelievable to think these years later that I now own one. And it's amazing because this is an incredibly attainable car for a lot of people. Now, the 3-valve engine, I get it. Not everyone wants it. They have their issues in the earlier ones with the spark plugs. I get it. It's a 5-speed, not a 6-speed. I get it. But this is the car that I wanted back in the day. I'm a truck guy first and foremost. So that came first no matter what. And all these years later, I've been working to get myself in position to be able to do this. I wanted to move down south. I wanted one of these as a daily driver. And I wanted to get the right one. I didn't want anything from New England that had any chance of having any rust. Now, my story with these cars, like I said, began back when I was 13 years old. 2004, reading my magazine, like everyone else, in awe of the retro style. And back then, don't forget, we're desensitized now. 300 horsepower was still a decent amount of power. Hell, in 2003 and 4 with the Terminator Cobra, they made like 390, 395, and that was a lot back then. That was the pinnacle car for a lot of years. And again, those engines are really special, but the measuring stick has changed. In an age where people say, my 3-valve has as much power as a Toyota Camry. I get it, but it's a different experience. There's something to be said for rowing your own gears, an American V8, and just having this iconic American car in your driveway. And you can't deny that the sound of the GT500 KR exhaust sounds pretty freaking sweet. So this was my first manual, so I'm not the fastest shifter, and I don't drive overly fast. It's just fun to ram through the gears, have some fun. It's, again, 300 horsepower, it's not going to slam you back in the seat, but it definitely goes. So in terms of the car, it's mostly stock. I'm a kind of a less is more kind of guy. I like a factory modified look. So I have my favorite wheels on it, the 2010 to 12 forged 19-inch aluminum GT500 wheels. I had a neighbor that had a GT500 and I just fell in love. He had a Kona Blue 2010 to 12 GT500 and he had these wheels and I just absolutely loved them. Then it came with a billet grille on it. I actually like it. I think it reminds me a lot of the Shelby GTs that don't get a lot of respect, unfortunately. Had an AFE non-tune require Magnum Stage 2 cold air intake with the dry filter. Again, makes cool noises. Don't really know what it does for power, but I'm not going to take it off at this point. It sounds really nice. The exhaust, I got stock manifolds, stock mid-pipe with the H-pipe, obviously, and I'm running GT500KR Axleback exhaust. So that came on the 2008 to 2009 GT500KR, the King of the Road. That's another car that I remember so vividly, and I was so excited when I was reading about that online because that was in the show Kit that NBC brought back for a while, which I watched. That was amazing. It is riding on stock suspension, The car has around 75,000 now. I bought it with 71, and honestly, I'm gonna leave it stock until I'm trying to wait till I buy a house, hopefully next year, because I like to do the work myself and can't really do that in my living situation. And I want to do the Ford Performance assembled handling kit, so it'll drop the car down about an inch, 3/4 of an inch to an inch, which is all I want. I don't want to hurt drivability, and just refresh the suspension. So you get the sway bars, the panhard bar, the coilovers, and the new springs and shocks. So I'm excited for that. That's really my plan. I like keeping things Ford because I think Ford Performance does a really good job. Just like the exhaust, it works. It sounds amazing. It's loud enough, and it doesn't have any sort of weird drone or anything like that, which just would drive me nuts. I'm running a Schrader tune. So Schrader's based out of Gastonia, North Carolina. Kind of a funny story with that I'll go into another video, but I actually came across his work around a decade ago when they did a Coyote swapped MT82 Sport Track Adrenaline, which I saw and then knew who Schrader was. I ended up seeing that Adrenaline down here, met the new owner, and then I ended up having Schrader do a remote tune on the car, and it runs awesome. Running a 91 Schrader Performance tune, amazing in drivability, plenty of power. It's funny because it actually added a little bit of crackle to the exhaust, which actually sounds amazing. So one question that I think is kind of cool to ask is, if you could go back in time and buy any car from any time in history and money was no object, what would it be? And there's two that I would buy. If I could buy anything right now, no questions asked, no income, brand new, it'd be either a 2003 or 4 Mustang Terminator Cobra. I think those are iconic. I think those have aged absolutely beautifully in terms of their appearance. I think the interior of this car I prefer, but I would love to own one of those someday and have a really clean example of one. And I'd also really like to buy a Sonic Blue Gen 2 Ford Lightning. I'm a huge truck guy. I love Lightnings. Lightnings are one of my favorite vehicles, Gen 1 and 2, but there's something about the step side, flare side as Ford likes to call them, that just is absolutely stunning. Ford nailed the body kit on that truck. And 95 horsepower out of that and the Cobra, pretty hard to complain about even at today's standards. I think everyone has a story with these cars. You know, the Mustangs are one of the neatest cars on the road. They're one of the most highly modified. And I think so many people buy them for different reasons. You know, this is a car that I've really wanted for so many years. And it's surreal to be able to look and see that I own this. This is mine. And to be grateful that I found one that I did from a nice person that took care of it and owned it for a long time. You know, I've had to do some things to it. That's normal. That's a used car, right? But it pays to be patient and find something like this. And I just wanted to share kind of my experience with this car, what it means to me, and how exciting it is to finally call one of these mine. It's amazing. I still have to pinch myself, but I'm so glad, and it was so worth waiting all these years to finally make it happen. I feel like I picked the right car at the right time of my life, and I'm able to still own, you know, my truck and hopefully add some other vehicles to the fleet in the coming years. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll talk to you in the next one. Take care.